stuff. So maybe I'm just soft. That might be it.
Dude.
Maybe I'm just fucking soft.
So I have this friend. I go to the gym with him, and we're like really close and stuff. And he was like, I'm not sure in what circumstance, he was like, this hurts. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna tell you what Chael Sonnen, I think, told Anderson Silva. That part of your body has exactly the same problem as the rest of your body. They're attached to a coward. Dude, one of the best burn lines ever. Yeah, it's super cool.
Hands up. Nobody move and nobody gets hurt. This is a stick up by Jerry and Adrian, the Legalized Robbery podcast.
You are here with your gracious host, Jerry, and once again joined by the one and only Romanian stallion, Adrian. And how are you doing today, sir?
Good. I just had a haircut today. I hope it's visible, noticeable.
Yes, it looks good, man. What inspired this haircut?
Basically sweatiness. I was like, I don't want sweatiness, and I just told the hairstylist like, I just don't want sweatiness, and he was like, I got you. And this is the product.
It looks good, man. It looks good.
Yeah,
I do think you should have kept the beard. You know what I mean? It just sort of fits with your image a little better. But this does look clean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It will grow back.
Yeah, white boy summer.
Yeah, exactly.
How's your week been so far?
Nothing too special. Just working, a bit of gym, that kind of stuff. Nothing.
You said you went on You said you went on a team building thing, right?
Yeah. In the weekend, there was some. There was a team building, and we did like fun activities. We went. So we did like a treasure hunt. There's some. I'm not sure if you're accustomed to the type of entertainment this is. Adventure park. You have like courses inside of a inside of a forest, inside of a forest, and it's like trails, but you have to climb shit, and you're always wearing like a suit on, and you're always anchored to some point so that you don't fall and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like physically intense, and you go on a zip line and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. I've been to one of those like a few times actually.
Yeah. So we did one of those. It was super cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're in the air for so long, right?
Yeah.
And initially there's like this sort of hesitation and just inhibition that you have. I'm not sure how high up you were, but whenever I go to these things, particularly Go Ape is what I went to. You have like huge like hesitation to do it. Maybe just because I'm scared of heights a little bit. But once I'm up there, it's great. And then I come down and you just feel like, I don't know, man. You feel strangely, you feel strangely empowered.
Yeah. No, I got the same thing. But this is like my third or fourth time going to something like this. So initially, it was a bit scary, but this time it felt surprisingly comfortable. At some point, I was like, am I too relaxed for this? How close am I to death by being this relaxed? But actually, I was. It was good. Like it felt, like you said, it felt good and things were going smooth. But dude, in the end, like there are things that seem a bit like rugged, and maybe they'll fail. Like I don't know the platform you're sitting on. But for example, since they had like iron chains, dude, those don't fail. So from that perspective, I'm actually mostly safe all the time. Like I even fell. I tripped and I fell and I hurt my leg. But that's because I'm stupid, not because I'm not safe. But I think in terms of absolute safety, I'm super safe. So that's always.
Do your parents know your password to your crypto accounts and your
no
and your stock accounts in case case anything happens?
They don't need it. It's spare change.
What do you mean they don't need it? How do you know that's not going to be worth millions?
Yeah, maybe in 100 years or something like that, but
in decades.
Yeah, exactly, in decades.
You're thinking too small, my friend. You're thinking
Dude,
too
if I'm
small.
dead, it doesn't matter. So
No, it matters. What about generational wealth? You don't want your kids to be balling?
I don't have kids. Like,
well, your future kids or something.
yeah,
like
I'll
that.
leave
I
them
don't
the
know.
password. It's fine. It's fine. I'll give them the password. Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of generational wealth, right?
No, I agree. Obviously, yeah. It's not like I'm gonna. It's not like I'm gonna make money and take them to the grave with me. No, it's
because this is actually a real issue that a lot of people haven't set up wills, for example. That's actually a perfect legalized robbery episode. People finessing the wills of their parents and shit like that.
Yeah,
that's legalized robbery right there. No, but the reason I say this is because I was genuinely so ill. I think last Tuesday or like
with
Monday
COVID?
or something like that. And I thought it was COVID. I mean, it could be still, but I took 2 tests and it.
They're negative.
One was one was like a void. No, I took like 3, I think, and 1 was a void and 2 were negative. But I kept reading, posts by people saying that every time they went to get tested, thinking it was Delta, the Delta variant, it showed up negative.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, maybe these tests are not showing properly. And then for some weird reason, the FDA, the CDC posted something about the PCR test not being legible anymore after December 2021. So a bunch of weird stuff. Anyway, I was super fucking ill. I had like a booming headache. I had muscle aches and stuff like that. All of my symptoms, they matched the Delta variant thing. But in the end, I think it was just a summer cold. It's just a plain old summer cold. So yeah.
It went away really fast, didn't it?
It did go away quite fast, yeah. And the thing is, I didn't take anything because I thought it was the Delta. And I was like, let me just let the vaccine work its magic. But it could have just been a cold that I just didn't take anything for. And then just intensified. Because usually when you have a cold, you take like paracetamol.
No, I don't take shit, but yeah.
Oh, you don't take shit? Oh, okay.
No,
you
full
just
natural, man.
Firm it. Firm as a rock.
Exactly.
So I usually take stuff. So maybe I'm just soft. That might be it.
Dude.
Maybe I'm just fucking soft.
So I have this friend. I go to the gym with him, and we're like really close and stuff. And he was like, I'm not sure in what circumstance, he was like, this hurts. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna tell you what Chael Sonnen, I think, told Anderson Silva. That part of your body has exactly the same problem as the rest of your body. They're attached to a coward. Dude, one of the best burn lines ever. Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, that's a hard line, man. I'll try and remind myself of that just to get the cowardness off me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it was, man. It could have been Delta. It could have, but the results suggest otherwise. I'm just glad I'm okay.
Yeah.
I honestly, at some points, it was so painful. I was thinking to myself, like, yo, really another day of this, man? Oh my gosh. And you know how and because I thought it was Delta, you know how you play out all the worst case scenarios in your head. And you're like, damn, I need to leave my wallet keys to somebody, you know?
Yeah. Good, but it's actually quite interesting. You remember how I told you I found like $200 worth of some random crypto I bought in 2018, and it turns out it was Aave. And it's like, what? Because
wow.
Yeah, it's like, what? That's super cool. Like, things like this will probably happen in the future with crypto for a lot of people.
Oh, for sure. A lot of people say that one of the best investment strategies in sort of in Bitcoin is buy it and forget it.
Yeah.
Literally. So, something to think about. Anyway,
let's go.
Enough of the chit chat.
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about a few interesting topics, namely the China, the good people from the Chinese Communist Party are cracking down on education companies, turning them into non-profits, is what they say. And the
Yeah.
latest addition to that has been food delivery companies as well.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to also talk about the BWord and our reaction to the event, which was an event that was held, hosted, I believe, by Ark Invest. And
I think it was. I think it was actually Square's initiative, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Ark Invest?
I think it was Ark Invest because it's hosted on
Okay.
their website. Yeah.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
The guy
Yeah,
who was moderating was the chief investment for
of
crypto at
Square.
Square.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was a joint thing, anyways. But yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter who.
It could be a joint thing actually.
Yeah.
Because when you actually go into the website, the BWord, you have the Ark Invest guy sort of curating all of the other speakers because it wasn't just those three.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just some context for the listeners. There was an event held with three very popular names, being Kathy Woods, investment mama, you know, getting us all on the arc of Noah into a digital future,
Yeah.
and then Elon Musk, obviously everybody's favorite entrepreneur and favorite person to hate on, favorite rich person to hate on.
Yep.
And Dogecoin bull. And then you've got Jack Dorsey from Twitter, and also the CEO of Square. And all three of them were on a panel to discuss Bitcoin. So we'll discuss our reaction to that, and then we'll also talk a little bit about the Fed's comments on stablecoins and their plans for the digital dollar, the digital euro, and the latest addition to all of this, Britcoin.
Britcoin, I've heard.
Britcoin, yeah. And then we'll talk about Tether and all of the risks that it poses to the crypto space, as it's the biggest stablecoin. And then we'll touch lightly on Alphafold, which is the Alphafold breakthrough that a Google subsidiary company, Deepmind, has made in CRISPR, which is a way to get sort of models of proteins and lots of really complicated shit I don't completely understand, but it's super interesting to know and potentially invest in.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, man, take the floor, Adi, on China.
Okay, so first off, I wanted just to touch a bit on the whole what's going on with China, starting from the whole starting from the Ant Group IPO, and then going on with a lot of regulations and crackdowns. Like they fined, they sued, they started investigations in so many companies in the last 6 months. Like they're super active in a lot of regulatory spaces inside their economy right now. It's interesting, and I have mixed feelings about a lot of it. But what I wanted to touch on is if my intuition is correct, I feel they're being a bit too isolationist, in the sense that they're trying to separate themselves from the West. Or if they're not trying to do that, unfortunately, I think that's what they're succeeding at, which is a bad thing, because people, like, even dude, today was so bloody, and like the past few weeks were so bloody for Chinese stocks. You have big stocks like multi hundreds of millions, or even multi-billion dollar stocks falling 15-20%, and it's a lot. And at this point, if they're not trying to alienate foreign investors, they're succeeding. So they should, if they're not trying to isolate, they should change something, because that's what they're doing right now. Like there's there's multiple investment companies who have said they're backing off China, including, by the way, ARK Invest. So ARK Invest said,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
yeah, they were like, okay, we're not sure where this is going. We had faith in these companies, that we think they're good companies, but at this point we just don't want to be a part of that. And they had, I think they had Tencent and JD, and I was like, that's bad. Like Kathy likes a good risk to reward ratio, and I was like, if Kathy isn't investing, like, should I be investing? Because I think she's risky. I don't think I'm that risky, but she's backing off. Whatever. So my point is, they're being a bit isolationist. They're investigating their own companies. They're investigating companies listed abroad. And I was thinking, like, where have I seen this model before? And the question is, basically, in empires. Empires, once they become big enough or too big, they start to like, they have so many internal problems. They're like, okay, we're gonna block off external connections so that they don't disturb what's already, like, how should I say, stable inside that construct. So I thought about the Roman Empire. I thought about the Iron Curtain with the how is it? How is the acronym in English? USSR. Okay.
USSR.
So basically, and I was like, this looks familiar. Like, this is exactly what the USSR did. They stopped countries from communicating with each other. They were behind the Iron Curtain. Nothing came in. Nothing went out, and stuff like that. So they were super isolationists. And what happened was, they disconnected themselves from the world until it crumbled. And this, you can see this pattern in a lot of empires, or a lot of, like, structures which became too big for their own good. And I even found an article which basically, it's called the 8 stages of the rise and fall of civilizations. And it talks how, okay, once you have enough power to gather people together and form something, it's fine. And then you go from doing brave things to having a bit of liberty and conferring people some rights. And once you confer some rights to people, you get abundance, because those people are productive and stuff like that. And then, because they're abundant, they basically go to complacency, because, okay, we have everything, we don't need any more. And then from complacency, they go to apathy, because after you're so fed up, and you think you're like, I don't know, how should I say this? Social environment is so bad, you stop caring. And you can see this, for example, I think in Romania a lot, in Russia a lot. People don't vote, people don't care about the country. And basically, this apathy leads to people not being productive, not wanting to do things. This leads to dependence. And in the end, dependence is basically what's going on, for example, right now, slightly in China or North Korea. The state just controls you. And at that point, it's just people not willing to fight for anything are super easy to control, but they can be just controlled and manipulated to a certain extent, because at some point they will rise up. So yeah, this is like basically a pattern you can apply to a lot of empires. And I think maybe even some companies, it would work even for some companies, to see that this pattern works and is confirmed most of the times. So yeah, China is interesting from this perspective, because they're having problems. Some of them more obvious, some of them less obvious. For example, they're having an accelerated aging population right now. They're in super big danger, because
I
they're
remember you
super big.
saying.
Yeah, they're super big. They're having an aging population. That they had the one child policy. They went then to two children policy. Then now they're actually at 3 children policy. So at this point, the state is just fucking racing to get people to make babies, because in this space they won't be able to sustain their economy, because people are getting old there as well. They stopped people from making children because it was, they didn't want to. And I was trying to get a bit more into this, and I was watching a video on YouTube, and they were interviewing people in I think it was Shanghai. So obviously it's obviously upper middle echelon of the population, but they were like, yeah, we can't afford this. Like you can't afford the tuition, you can't afford the cost of living. Like they were talking about an apartment costing a few million in Shanghai, which I imagine is true because Shanghai is one of the big epicenters in China for anything, basically. So they were like, yeah, it would cost you a few million to raise a child from getting born to university there. And I was like, oh, that's expensive.
What?
Yeah. I can send you the video if you want, but
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of rich people in China, so
yeah, of course there are. But the point being is that these guys were probably upper middle, and they were like, yeah, we don't want to have children. It's not that we don't want 3, we don't want any at this point. And it's kind of sad, but the point is that's the place, that's their status right now. So the question is, what will they do? And for example, look at Japan, look at other aging populations. Well, Japan didn't do anything about this, but other countries, they just brought in immigrants. But how can you bring in immigrants where you're basically trying to shut everybody off? So you're not. They're gonna have big problems. Like all of their strategies, because China, before they opened up to the world, they were I'm not saying it condescendingly, but they weren't much. They were just like there were a lot of people not doing a lot, just being their own, and like, okay, we need to step up, and they did step up, and they did good. But now I think they're getting a bit ahead of themselves, and I think they're making some bad moves. But this is more like politics and how I view the things to progress in the future, and I hope that's not the case, because it's if this article is correct, they're going towards the crash of the Chinese empire, but we'll have to see for that probably a few more years. Yeah,
I agree, but just so that we're not sort of echo chambering each other, I would also say that China has the upper hand in many ways, and they are exercising that upper hand right now. Whether that will be good for them in the long term is one thing, or whether it will be damaging in the short term and then just good in the long term is, that'll be one thing. But for now, China has a huge upper hand because the pandemic made us realize our dependency in the West on them. I do agree that their sort of first huge misstep so far has been all of these isolation tactics. But you do have to admit that we still have a huge reliance on China, whether it's through fashion, all the clothes that we're wearing, whether it's all of the tech gadgets that we use, whether it's all of the offshoring that companies have done to China and are still in China. Obviously, a lot of foundries are moving now onshore, especially in the UK and the US. But that is, hard to deny. And also the fact that China is the first major country to be working on their own virtual currency, whereas the US is just sort of starting. Bitcoin is just being brought up by Rishi Sunak, who's the finance minister in the UK, and the European Central Bank is just talking about European a euro coin. In the meanwhile, China has already deployed it, and I think they're working. I'm not sure what the number is, but it's quite a few million.
Tens of millions, I think.
Transactions. So I do agree that all of these isolation tactics are not necessarily helping China, but let's not get it twisted. They still have the upper hand on a lot of things still.
No, it's not like that. I think China, I think is doing amazingly well in a lot of areas. Like even, for example, they use a lot of coal. It's true, they use a lot of coal, but it's mostly because they didn't have much options to begin with. But for example, in terms of investment in renewables, they're serious about it. Like I've seen some articles, they seem to be more serious than other companies, other countries, even nuclear. So they're definitely in the right place with a lot of things. So I'm not saying that. This is more like high level game strategy, which is mostly happening at the leadership level, because this is not accidental. They didn't have all these crackdowns, which we're going to talk about a bit later, just coincidentally happening in the same period of time. No, this is a strategy. This is a narrative, and basically my whole point was, in the past, this kind of strategy has led to ruin. Like, maybe there'll be the exception, but maybe they won't.
Mhm.
Even if they do, they could still fail as a state and be the leader in nuclear energy or renewable revolution. They could still do that. Things are super, like, both could happen at the same time.
The fact that they can make like big executive decisions, just like a heartbeat, without it having to go through some kind of Senate, Supreme Court, XYZ, whatever, makes them like very powerful.
Yeah.
And it's hard to compare that to anything in the West, where you have to go through so much sort of bureaucracy. So that's one thing that plays into their favor. But I guess it's also something that is their disadvantage, because you don't have enough people being like, hey, this is probably not a bad idea, dude. This is probably not a good idea, dude. And this does sound like one of those things, it's probably not a good idea. Anything else you had on that?
No, well, once we go into the crackdowns, I have some other information there. But regarding this whole isolationist, I was just like, I've seen this pattern before, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, this is what I saw it in history, and this kind of behavior led to basically the empire failing, and it usually happened towards the final stages of the empire. So that was here, but we can talk about the crackdown and the regulations they imposed more specifically later.
Yeah. The irony about this is that there's similar rhetoric around that for the U.S. actually. With signs of an empire coming to its end, being printing like a lot of money. I don't know what the monetary policy in China is like, but that used
Basically
to be
the
always
same.
an indicator. Same? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the numbers are so big. I don't think they're printing as much, but obviously, and dude, like with the China,
Everybody's
is like,
printing.
yeah, for starters, almost everybody's printing, and then for China is, I don't want to be like, I don't know, fake or anything, but I don't trust a lot of numbers that come out of China. Like,
Right.
their dishonesty is quite pathetic. So from that perspective, I'm not trusting a lot of legal numbers that come out. So from that perspective, but they are 100% doing it, no doubt about it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but then there's this thing here. You bought the dip, right? So there must be some type of hope you see there still.
Well, dude, I bought the dip, dude. I actually bought the dip multiple times already, but I keep on buying the dip. Like, when
And
is
you're
it?
here on this, and you're here on the podcast saying, "Hey, this is the demise of this empire." Yet I'm buying a dip.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, uh, the thing, dude, it's attractive. Yeah, the dip is attractive. What can I say?
Yeah. At the end of the
I'm
day,
drawn to it.
listen. At the end of the day, we said on this podcast before that stocks become more attractive as they go down, and they become less risky actually as they go down. Contrary to popular belief, but this is really what it is. So even though there's all of these red flags that China is showing due to this crackdown and regulation and whatnot, this might be the best time to get the best sales of these companies. Give us a few tickers. What are you interested in? What are
So
you
I just
looking
want
at?
to say, for example, I was looking today and I was like, fuck, that's insane. I was checking Alibaba, and they are 0.75 PS ratio, and I was like, so basically they have more money coming in than they're worth. I was like, dude, that's kind of
Basically,
crazy, man. That's crazy. Yeah,
what
it's
if
stupid.
what if it's to get the Chinese themselves to buy the dip on their own companies?
They should like okay, come on, let's go.
Super brick brain shit right there, my guy.
Yeah, dude. Like, just let
You
me
know
know.
that meme? You know
Let
that
me
meme?
know. Yeah.
I like
Um,
this.
So yeah, what I own is basically what I bought. I haven't bought any new companies because I'm not like I know what I know, and then
You're not a
I'm just buying.
bandwagonist.
No. I just buy shit I know about. So I bought
Gotcha.
some Tencent. I
Mm-hmm.
bought some BYD. I bought
Mm-hmm.
some Xiaomi, Meituan, and Alibaba.
Nice.
They're kind of. I'm also thinking about Geely, and there was another stock actually ARK Invest bought in China, which is called Ping An Healthcare and Technology Company Limited, which is allegedly, supposedly, the Teladoc of China, which is super interesting because, yeah, like you said, they have a lot of rich people, and obviously, Ping An's evaluation is not as big as Teladoc. The market is huge, so I was thinking, yeah, maybe that would be a good investment, but yeah, dude, yeah, they're absolutely hammered. But I bought a bit of the dip, and maybe I'll buy a bit more the upcoming days if it dips more. But yeah, it's insane. For example, I was again like with Alibaba, and obviously they had the whole shit with Tencent, but at this point, Alibaba is worth less than it was before the pandemic started. So that's
Crazy.
kind of crazy, yeah, dude. And
And
they made crazy numbers in this period, like.
yeah, they beat EPS and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're doing fine. They had to pay a huge ass fine for the whole tobacco debacle with Ant Group IPO, but other than that, they're doing super okay. They're growing well.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Okay, so moving on, the BWord event happened, and both you and I watched it. What was your thoughts on it? Actually, let me give some background on
Yeah,
that.
you start.
I know I gave some background on it earlier, but the BWord event was an event that sort of came quite impromptu. It was quite sort of random and quick. It
Mm-hmm.
happened where it was like, hey, boom, Jack Dorsey and Kathy Wood and Elon are hosting a panel, and we'll be discussing Bitcoin. And given that there was so much hate in the Bitcoin community towards Elon Musk due to just Bitcoin people or Bitcoin maxis disliking the idea that a sort of rich and powerful person would come in and sort of control the narrative and manipulate the markets and so forth. They didn't like it. Personally, I think it's okay. Not because I think that is okay, but because I feel like Bitcoin is being stress tested in that sense. If it can be controlled by a single person, no matter how powerful they are, then it means it would fail as a currency, because a currency shouldn't do that. So yeah, like I feel like they owe Elon a thank you
Yeah.
for him stress testing the platform. But not to get too hung up on that. So Elon had like probably a bone to pick with the community, but also to show his sort of interest still in the movement. And then
Mm-hmm.
you obviously have Kathy Wood, who's from from the beginning, so having just good words for Bitcoin. And then you have Jack Dorsey, who damn near is the Bitcoin spokesperson at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a tweet saying that Square has been the unofficial PR department for Bitcoin for quite a long time now,
Yep. True.
and
True.
I agree.
Yeah.
So they discussed a range of things, and it was really interesting to sort of see Elon speak directly on some of the allegations made towards him,
Mm-hmm.
namely that he was manipulating the price, and he partly admitted to it because he said, I quote, "I pump, but I don't dump."
Yeah. I was like,
And
those are not good words, my friend. Those are not
yeah,
good words.
yeah. But I think it gave the community a little bit of trust back. that he wasn't just a bad actor or something. And he made some interesting points. I know that, you know, super purists, super Bitcoin purists are gonna be dissecting every single word and being like, yo, this guy doesn't understand shit and he doesn't know yada yada. And I agree, you know, he probably doesn't know as much as, you know, some of the real hardcore guys in there that know like details about every fucking node and everything that Satoshi wrote in the white paper and how currencies work and so forth. So I agree, you know, Bitcoin, Elon's probably not going to be the go-to guy, but you know, for the thing to move forward, you do need an opinion from a quote unquote outsider. And even though Elon is probably not the smartest guy in the room when it comes to Bitcoin, he probably has some valuable things to add. You know, because it's not like he wasn't part of one of the biggest financial companies in the world right now, in PayPal.
This is exactly what I wanted to bring up, and he said it himself. Yeah. It's like, dude, it's like, it's not. He was there super early. Like, from Bitcoin is cool and all that, but basically Elon could have created Bitcoin or something similar to Bitcoin a long time ago, and arguably PayPal was a financial revolution. It basically was the fintech, I think, to start most of it. So he definitely knows a lot about money, finance, and currency. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where the topic came to something specific to Bitcoin. It also gave me the vibe that maybe he doesn't know or understand all the intricacies. I would rather think he doesn't know, because he would definitely understand them. He's a super clever guy. I don't think anything in Bitcoin would be like something complicated for him. But yeah, it's not like, yeah, he won't know everything that's going on in everything in the world. So that's impossible.
Yeah. I think the other thing, the thing that I found, what I was a little disappointed was when he raised all of these different sort of questions, you know, why can't you reduce the block size and stuff like that? I mean, these things have been discussed in the community before. Exactly. Block size reduction, meaning that you would then allow for people to be able to mine Bitcoin on their computers, because if the block size is too big, it can only be mined on specific mining computers with certain chips and so forth. Obviously, there's all kinds of solutions to this in the crypto space already, and there's reasons that it's made this way. But I just think the conversation it went a little stale because Elon raised all of these points and then they moved on to the next topic instead of getting Jack to respond directly to them. You know, instead, what Jack, the stuff that Jack directly responded to was like, you know, Bitcoin not being fun enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Elon was saying something along the lines of Dogecoin being about dogs and not taking yourself too seriously. And, you know, I like those things.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then the guy was, I think the guy asked then Jack is like, can we make Bitcoin more fun or something like that? And he's like, yeah, we could do that. I'm like, come on, man. Like you could have raised all of the other points that he brought up with Jack.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So before their actual conversation, I actually listened to some of the other presentations. I don't think it was all of them, but I think it was 3 or 4 of them. Those were interesting, but dude, everybody, honestly, like, this is not a like I'm not taking shots, but people were so fucking low energy. I'm not sure why. Like, it's like, dude, I mean, I get it. You're filming for a conference from your home. Yeah, you might not be the most pumped and hyped up person, but like, people are just like, they were reading off prompts. Seriously, it was super low energy, and even Elon, which usually he's quite high energy, Jack is some comme ci comme ça. Sometimes he's high energy, sometimes he's super low energy. He was also low energy. Kathy was there in the back smiling, but
you gotta think like Jack actually goes on retreats and shit like that. Like Jack
I know.
meditates. This is his
Good for him.
personality.
Yeah,
this is not low energy. This is Jack full energy, actually.
I get it. I kind of have the same way of being. Like if I'm not high energy, I'm like plain. I'm no energy, and that's fine. But I don't fucking participate in conferences. That's the difference, you know. Like if you're gonna be there, like seriously, if you're gonna be there, do something interesting. Be part of the conversation. Like show that you're actually involved in it. He was like, yeah, Elon, yeah. I was like, what is this? Yeah, and Elon was very apathetic or very tired, or I don't know what the fuck was wrong with him. It seemed like Kathy and Jack persuaded him to come. And he's like, but mom, and like, okay, I'm coming. But I don't. It's like he wasn't necessarily super excited to be there. He had his arguments on him, and he did speak about stuff, but it didn't seem like he was super on board with everything. That was my vibe. But the whole conference, the conference itself was a bit low energy. The Bitcoin conference in Miami, though, that was high energy. But yeah.
But here's the thing. I think those things complement each other, because the Bitcoin Miami conference was damn near like, it was like bordering on lunatic levels. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you know how people were making the jokes like the biggest winner of the Bitcoin Miami conference was Ethereum or something like that.
yeah.
Because it just was so like comical and like a circus. So, and not to say that there weren't good speakers on there. There was brilliant speakers. You know, Jack Mallers' speech, I think everybody should go and watch. Very emotional, but it ran a really important point home. But I do think that the BWord brought a bit more professionalism to to Bitcoin. I think that's what it wanted. But I do agree also in what you're saying, that it was a bit low energy. But I don't think you've seen enough interviews of Jack if you think that's low energy, bro.
Oh,
that's
no.
How he is. That's like saying,
I know.
Hold on. That's like saying Lex Friedman is low energy. But that's just how Lex is, man.
But I've seen Jack being more laid back and more communicative. I'm not saying he should be hyped up or anything, or I don't know, ecstatic, but I've seen him be more communicative and open and be more involved in the discussion. For example, when he was at Joe Rogan's interview, right? So he was more talkative then, but then it's the problem of the host. Maybe Jack is super zen, super chill. He doesn't do a lot, okay, but then the host has to provoke him, or at least try to get him going. So then the host didn't do his job. But yeah, it was a bit low energy. I agree with the professionalism, and like I said, the presentations before their conversation had good content. Like seriously, objectively, the content that was presented was good. Like it was about, there was some information regarding use of crypto, specifically Bitcoin, regarding infractionality and stuff like that, power consumption. Seriously, a lot of good points for the main criticism against Bitcoin. That was super cool, but the energy was low. So honestly, if you weren't super invested or super interested in the subject, it was really easy for you to disconnect and be like, okay, I'm just gonna watch some random video on YouTube because this guy is boring as fuck. And yeah, I'm not even watching him because he's Elon Musk. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna watch the Elon Musk interview. But if you wanted to watch before, you would have gotten bored really quick. So it's kind of a shame because the information was good.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I didn't think it was that boring either. I thought it was quite interesting, actually. I'll tell you what was interesting to me. There was a few things that we learned that we didn't know before, such as Elon's portfolio, which consists of majority Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Doge. And I think this might be the first time where he publicly said that he's holding Ethereum.
Exactly. I think Doge as well, because if I'm not mistaken, he never said he has Doge, and people have pressed him on it, and I don't think he ever said it directly. Yeah, I have Doge. So from that perspective, like you said, that was interesting. Yeah, definitely.
And Yeah, like I said, I mean, I agree with you for the most part, but I don't actually agree in saying that this was like, bad or something like that. I think it was mediocre. Um,
No.
there are a few novel things that I learned from that just by seeing those three together. But I do agree, like a lot of questions were sort of just flown over and not engaged with properly. And Elon was, I think he was, rambling on a few times, and Jack was sort of repetitive in just saying that he has a lot of passion for Bitcoin
Mhm.
and that he wants to see it change the world, and he kept kind of repeating that. But another thing that was interesting to me in that conversation was that um, Elon was claiming that SpaceX and Starlink actually help Bitcoin in a sense, because if Starlink improves the world's internet connection, so to say,
Obviously, dude.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that would help with transaction speeds.
Sure. I
And
mean, the network has to support it, but it's better if you do have internet when you're trying to use internet to use crypto, right?
exactly. So to me, that was really interesting. A lot of people were kind of saying that he's shilling the battery packs and Starlink in a way. He's trying to sell his products. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't say his intentions are that sort of bad. But obviously the guy did he runs those two companies. Like obviously he's gonna try and sell something.
Oh, and he
Um,
said both Tesla, which we knew, but also SpaceX own Bitcoin.
own Bitcoin.
I
Yeah,
think this is also news. I don't think we knew this
yeah,
before.
exactly.
So that's good.
So if anything, that talk taught us those few things, and I think just for that, it was probably worth it. And just to know that these three know each other, and that there's some type of line of communication there, is
Mhm.
pretty powerful, in my opinion. And I think Kathy Woods was really interesting there because she broke through the the what's the word again? I'm missing English words here. I was gonna say narrator. The
Narrative.
no, the guy that leads the discussion.
Interviewer. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the interviewer.
Okay.
She sort of broke through the interviewer's structure by asking Elon directly a question about energy consumption of Bitcoin and whether he knows about that.
Hmm.
So I really like that, and that's the kind of conversation I wished we would have seen.
Hmm.
So all in all, I think, like you said, it was a bit low energy, but we got a lot of interesting information.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and one funny part that I liked was sort of Elon asking Dorsey if advertisers can pay Twitter in Bitcoin.
Hmm.
And it was a cheeky question because it was like, hey, the undertone of it was like, hey, you talk such a good deal about Bitcoin,
Yeah.
yet your company, Twitter, right, is not hasn't entirely integrated this thing yet. Could it be because the payments are not viable for mass usage? That's just me sort of adding that into it. But that's the natural sort of that's the natural conclusion you'd come to, is why you would ask that. And then Dorsey, right, was sort of, he didn't give a clear answer. It was a bit of a politician's answer. And then he said something along the lines of any form of payment they want to use, they should be able to take. And
Yeah.
it quickly sort of got away and said he's more interested in reforming the whole system. So ad sales aren't the only model for Twitter.
From that perspective, Elon is dude. He actually
Cheeky.
accepted payments in Bitcoin. So from that
Yeah.
perspective, Elon's actions speak more than Jack's. And obviously the reason is because when you spend 40, 50, $60,000 on a car, you don't mind the $50 transfer fee and the 1 hour whatever wait time, if that's the case, if the network is crowded. But yeah,
Yeah.
when you pay for advertisement, you don't have the same the same sums. So, but yeah,
So I love
see,
that. I really love that. That's the kind of shit that people really need to ask themselves, because we can walk around here talking about, Bitcoin taking over the US dollar and digital reserve currency, yada yada yada, and then put your money where your mouth is, and I don't want to say Jack doesn't have skin in the game, but you can tell that Elon sort of hit a weak spot there. So,
yeah.
and who knows? I mean, Jack, the onus really is on Jack to perform in that aspect. He has to make some type of mainstream adoption for the Lightning Network that is already in use. If he gets that on Twitter via Square, it will be crazy. That will be the first major implementation of the Lightning Network on a platform like that. So we'll see. And I think Elon is sort of daring him to do that.
Yeah, and dude, it's like maybe they're different companies, it's not exactly the same thing. But then again, not necessarily. Like, for example, SpaceX, they use shit from Tesla, Solar City. Like, Elon Musk has no problem co-integrating his companies one with another. From that perspective, like, seriously, Jack should use Twitter as his playground with Square. Like, see, right? But for some reason, he's not doing it, which is awkward, if you ask me. Because
Absolutely.
he's not the first guy to own multiple companies, and but most of them would jump on this, would kill for this opportunity, right? This is what actually all major tech conglomerates do. They try to bundle as many things together and make you use as much of them. But Jack doesn't
Hey,
seem to want to do this.
Apple is vertically the vertical integration overlord
Exactly.
on planet Earth. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They
Yeah.
vertically integrated everything, and it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what will happen. Because Twitter is an incredible company. They recently beat expectations again.
Mhm.
Square's doing well. Sky's the limit.
So did Snapchat, and they rose like 25%. So I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
don't
a
know
good.
who uses Snapchat. It's all these little kids, isn't it?
I don't know either.
Because I
I
know
have
somebody
Pinterest.
that works at Snapchat, and I think she was saying something along those lines that it's a lot of younger people that are using it.
Wasn't Snapchat part of that report I spoke about? The whole thing with the teenage in the US.
Could be, yeah.
I think I mentioned Snapchat there, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. But yeah, anyways,
Yeah, check that out for anybody that's interested in one of our previous podcasts. I can't remember which episode it was. Two,
two or
three,
three, I think, yeah,
two or three.
something like that.
Okay, moving on. The
Yeah.
Fed has continuously commented on stablecoins, and there was a few leaks and screenshots of the Fed sort of lightly mentioning and amongst their financial, like, big sort of financial risks that they see, and they mentioned Tether,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of crazy at that time, because there wasn't, the Fed didn't even acknowledge Bitcoin. This was a few weeks ago, and up until recently they didn't acknowledge it at all, and they were sort of saying, oh, it's something that criminals use to transact money and stuff like that, and we're sort of flippant about it. And until recently, you then saw, I believe that there was talks of a digital dollar,
Yeah.
but those weren't as advanced as the digital euro that is being discussed by the European Central Bank now. And this apparently is already in quite a mature stage, and soon ready to deploy. And I don't know shit about it. Don't ask me shit about it. I'm trying to figure this shit out myself. All I read that it was environmentally friendlier than Bitcoin. That's all I read about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to do my research on it before I can sort of give a deep dive opinion on it. The digital dollar is also interesting. And then very recently, just a few days ago, you have the Bitcoin. So to cycle back to the Fed, Jay Powell himself said directly you wouldn't need stable coins. You wouldn't need cryptocurrencies if you had a digital US currency. And that's the head of the Federal Reserve saying
Mhm.
that. Number one, this guy doesn't seem to know shit about cryptocurrencies. Because
Yeah.
a stable coin is not the same thing as Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Or any of these other coins, really. So I think I'm not sure if he deliberately said that. You know, you have double speak, which is a term I believe a term coined by George Orwell, where uh, politicians sort of say ambiguous things on purpose to confuse the people, so to say.
Mhm.
And this kind of reminds me of that. It seems like doublespeak because it's just random. You know,
Mhm.
I get if you say you wouldn't need stable coins if you have a digital US currency, that makes sense. But to add on to that sentence, you wouldn't need cryptocurrencies, just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but I think it's like you said. I don't think he knows a lot about cryptocurrency, and from what I understand, he's a really educated and smart person. Like a lot of I read about a lot of people who were saying that they trust him a lot because he's a really smart dude and stuff like that and capable. So I think that's true. Whether you agree with his decisions or not, he allegedly knows economics very well. So okay, let's give
Yeah,
him that.
I don't
Yeah, yeah.
disagree with that. I just said he doesn't know shit about cryptocurrencies.
Maybe it's not in his area of interest. Like at this point it's like we said, it's 1.5 trillion market cap. Like he should know as much about cryptocurrencies as he knows about Apple, which I don't think is a lot. So from that perspective, like he's not, maybe he should be a bit knowledge about it, but not
I
necessarily.
disagree. I disagree quite strongly actually, because you have your competitor country creating a full-fledged digital currency. I think he should definitely be up to date with cryptocurrencies and statements like that. Either, I mean, obviously, it could just be that he's deliberately making a statement like that
Oh,
um,
I think that was
to
deliberate.
confuse people. But it could also be just showing your ignorance on the
Yeah,
topic.
dude,
So
obviously, like
I don't know.
anybody who knows anything about cryptocurrencies, even him, like seriously, you go on the internet, you search for cryptocurrencies, and in about 10 minutes you find out about smart contracts, and from them everything changes because that's like programmatically uh, programmatically programmed contracts. So obviously that's at that point that is not a currency anymore. So obviously that's not the same thing as a stable coin. Oh, like even with Bitcoin, arguably Bitcoin could be similar to a currency, but yeah, it's a non-inflationary currency. It's a reserve currency. It's like it's much more complicated than currency. So that blanket statement is just wrong. I think it's, yeah, it's either intentional. I think it's more, yeah, I probably think it's intentional. He was like, okay, let's just throw all cryptos in there. So yeah, at this point, I
Could be, yeah.
I think it's malpractice, not necessarily lack of knowledge. So yeah.
I do also think you underestimate um, how unknowledgeable old people are on very new things. Um, Big example of that is Buffett and Charlie Munger. You know, you got Charlie Munger coming out saying that Bitcoin is rat poison and stuff like that. Like, what do you just sit your old ass down, bro? You know what I mean? Not to be blasphemous for all of the, you know what I mean, fundamentals finance bros, you know. I'm just as much a fan of Charlie Munger's, you know, heydays and Warren Buffett's heydays as the next guy, and I studied a lot of their advice. So not to throw shade, but I do strongly actually believe that they don't know shit about how Bitcoin and these kind of new things work.
Probably,
But
but no, dude. From this perspective, Elon, wow, Warren Buffett. I think he actually said it up front. Like, I'm not gonna invest in shit I don't understand. I don't understand
true,
tech. I'm not gonna invest in it. So from that perspective,
yeah,
he's much more honest and quite rational about that. So that's fine
true,
from my
true,
point of
true.
view.
Um, I think another thing I wanted to talk about in regard to this was something really interesting. I mentioned this book before, and I will keep mentioning it because it's just so genius. And it's called The Sovereign Individual. And in that book, it discussed this exact thing. So um, it will force governments to compete with digital currencies. And it's a way to keep government on its toes and honest.
Mm-hmm.
So the governments that banned Bitcoin, right? They already did the first mistake. In the West, they were a little smarter. They, regulate here, regulate there, but then bring out our own digital currency that people can jump on. And to
Mm-hmm.
be fair, that's actually a smarter idea than straight up banning it. Because when you ban it, you almost create more demand in some places. You know how Bitcoin is trading at a premium in all of the places that it has been banned, like, Turkey or some, African countries like Nigeria, I believe. So, and they show that they're not willing to compete. So they're like, hey, our currency is inflating, like Turkey 15, 20%, Nigeria's 15% or something like that. And they're like, you can't jump on Bitcoin because that's not allowed. You're just gonna have to stay with us. You're just gonna have to stay with a currency that increases inflation, and people are just not going to have it. And I think this is the beauty of it. And the book ran this point home that the same way that gunpowder took the churches, sort of the medieval churches power away and influence away, the same way the digital revolution is going to take power away from governments, particularly economic power. So you separate the money from the state. And once you do that, the incentives are better aligned. Because how often have you thought that politicians were not really, working for the people? Pretty much all the time. You can ask anybody on the street, do you think they're working for you, or they're working for their own self-interest? And 9 times out of 10 people will tell you for their own self-interest. Well, that's due to money still being in the state. Now, if you remove the money from the state, they're going to have to, you know what I mean? It's going to be like
Sure.
clockwork, the way they have to start competing. And this is a beautiful example, and you can see it all sort of working in concert. You have the ECB coming out with the euro virtual currency, the digital dollar, the Britcoin. And for me, it was just crazy the timing that I read some part of the book, and then a few months later, it just all plays out in front of me.
Right.
So this is a testament to people, like, read books, man. Like there's some like if you can't read books, get an audiobook, whatever.
Sure.
There's really some gems out there that people could dive into. Yeah. Sorry, I sort of monologue. What are your thoughts on it?
I was actually thinking, like, yeah, that's correct. But then again, even what we said earlier with the Fed, dude, at this point, cryptocurrencies are not currencies anymore. Like, they're full on tech companies. They're governance coin. They're like implementation of functionality. They're a currency, of course. Their ownership, dude. Like, okay, you're gonna make a national digital currency. Okay, good job, great for you. What are you gonna do? Transactions with it? Yeah, good job. So what?
Yeah. How are you going to compete? Like, these
That's
guys are
that.
next level
Yeah, that
freaks with it. You know
that
what I
that,
mean? Like,
that yeah, that does nothing against Ethereum or Cardano or a lot
and
of.
not just that. Like, these people are not interested in working for government. As big as government is today, they're not interested.
Yeah.
Because they did their due diligence, and the due diligence finds that government is just continuously fucking their people over.
If
So
anything, they might be a Trojan horse, because basically you're gonna force, well, indirectly on ramping everybody into crypto by having a digital currency. So then
basically, yeah.
that's a Trojan
So
horse.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting what happens.
Yeah.
So, I guess to supplement the conversation regarding this, we can touch a little bit on USDT, on Tether, and just to give everybody a bit of a background info on Tether. Tether is a stable coin, and a stable coin works in a way that is sort of it's a bedrock of the crypto space because as we all know, crypto is very volatile. So you need something that is less volatile that you can keep during the ups and downs of crypto to benefit from the downs potentially, or just have like a cash sort of reserve that you have to buy whichever crypto you want. And Tether is the biggest one. But the problem with Tether is that they've had an immense amount of scrutiny. They have been missing auditing dates. They've not been publishing entire info on things. They've had very harsh allegations towards them regarding market manipulation and sort of insider trading, and not disclosing certain pieces of information to the authorities. So to the point that now, as we discussed earlier, the Fed has mentioned them amongst the biggest financial risks that the US potentially is facing. Furthermore, they have a flipping CEO and CFO that claim to be shy and just don't do any press. One
Yeah,
second.
dude, USDT is such a suspicious circumstances. Like, I was making fun with a friend of mine about how almost everybody in their board has been involved in a scam at some point or a fraud, which is absolutely insane. Like, seriously, everybody in on their board, like the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, everybody has been involved in a scam or like a fraudulent circumstance before. Like, the odds of that happening is super small. And yeah, dude,
Unbelievable, man.
it's a huge can of worms. And yeah, like you said, it's the third biggest crypto. It's, I wouldn't say it's the bedrock, but it's an on ramp for a lot of people. It's an anchor for a lot of people, at least psychologically. I think about currency in USDT, in dollars, basically, right? Because that's how you get the information. So from
Why would
that
you say
perspective,
it's not a bedrock then? Yeah, I think it definitely is a bedrock. There have been multiple days where the largest influx of money was in Tether, not Bitcoin, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
crazy to think, which is absolutely nuts to think. Some of the busiest days had more inflow of money to Tether than to Bitcoin. Like, let that sink in. That's crazy because
Yeah,
Bitcoin is the number one player in there.
but you have alternatives. That's why I'm saying maybe stable coins are important, an important part of the ecosystem. But USDT is not the only one. It's the biggest one right now, but it can easily be replaced by BUSD or any of the other stable coins.
My
So
problem with it is that they don't seem as widely available as the other stable coins don't seem as wide. Like DAI, I find it really hard to figure out how I'd get it on Binance or FTX or something like that, as well as BUSD. USDC is actually to me at least, seems way more prominent as a
mhm,
second coming.
sure, as well.
Um,
Anyways, if anything happens, the bottom line is the market will crash with USDT, which sucks. But then that void will be filled eventually. Like, there are alternatives. But yeah, USDT is super risky. Like, I think I sent you. Did I send you that video with from CoffeeZilla regarding USDT?
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, basically, it's like a powder keg from the perspective that they have, like, initially they started by saying that they're gonna have one-to-one backing of all the dollars in circulation, and right now they have like 3% in cash, and the other ones are some sort of loan covered thingy, some financial instrument. But one of like 50% of them is stable, but the other somewhat percent of it is unstable or risky. And I was like, okay, this is just a tragedy waiting to happen. And then there's the complication with their bank and Bitfinex, and how Bitfinex said they're not the same company, but actually they are the same company, and they have accounts at the same bank. And once USDT was, I think somebody prompted them to show that they have the money in circulation in an account. It was like, oh, here it is, and it was like 300 or 400 million. But then somebody obtained the records, and at the same time, Bitfinex had that money withdrew from their account. It was like, dude,
What are you doing? Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, this
so
is a sandcastle,
it's crazy.
that is gonna be blown away by the next wave, legit. Because
Yeah,
you look at it, and the most baffling thing to me is, as a CEO, right? Even if you're shy, if these kind of harsh allegations are thrown towards your company, you make a public appearance and be like, "Hey, guys, I got this. I got this shit in order." You know what I mean? Like, I'm still the
yeah,
captain
sure.
of the ship, and we're steering away from the iceberg.
Yeah, exactly.
But instead, this guy, they're sending out their CTO, is it CTO, to answer all of these allegations. And then they ask him, like, where's your CEO and CFO? And they're like, yeah, they're camera shy or whatever. And they don't like being public figures or something like that. And I'm like, this is just, it just screams fraud, legit, man. And,
Most people don't know about it. Like, most people just
yeah,
see USDT, they heard of Tether, and like, yeah, I'm buying it. But
yeah.
yeah, it's super risky.
So just some more information on it. The New York Attorney General has banned them from operating in New York. They have a DOJ investigation and have made no proper public defense of any sorts. They've only made a reply on their website, and you could sum it up as them saying, "Yo, Bloomberg is making clickbaity articles about us." That's about it.
Yeah.
So I think what will be interesting for people and potential investors is to discuss what are the potential outcomes. You mentioned one already, that the market is like, Tether is going to take the market down with it. A maxi friend of mine, a Bitcoin maximalist friend of mine, has a different theory, and he claims that there might be a knockoff effect on the market, yes, but he thinks people are like, what people would do is they take out of Tether and just put it in Bitcoin. Simple as that. And if you look at all of this news that came out about Tether, right? You look at all of this news in the same time, which has been the past 2 days, and for the viewers, it will be probably next week when the episode airs. Bitcoin has went up 15% almost overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So now you could say, okay, this could be, the news about Amazon saying that they will potentially be looking to accept Bitcoin payments end of 2021. But Amazon already came out and said that, this is fake news. Or, it could be a short squeeze, like people were saying, as there were a lot of leveraged shorts still open that were then squeezed just on a particular day, like the day before yesterday when the price went up.
Yeah.
So you could say that it's either that, or it could be people simply seeing the news about Tether and putting that money into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Could be. So these are two sort of potential outcomes. It could take the market down completely, and then we start again, so to say, with new stablecoins, more reliable stablecoins, or it could just be people dumping into Bitcoin and making the price shoot up like crazy. Obviously, we would prefer that. But
looking at the market cap of Tether, and there hasn't been a slowdown. So from that perspective,
hold on, it went down 17%, I thought.
Yeah, but the market capitalization is almost intact. Tether, dude, Tether.
Yeah, I'm talking Tether too.
What do you mean it went down? It doesn't go
Tether,
down.
isn't there some kind of measure to see the outflow of the money, even if it's a stable coin?
Market
The outflow.
capitalization. What else is
And
there?
then I'm not
Market
sure
cap-
if you're looking. I'm not sure if you're looking at the wrong thing, because well, in my group at least, somebody posted the current numbers, and Tether was down bad. But
At least on CoinMarketCap, it doesn't seem to show that. Maybe
okay.
maybe they're using some other metric. I'm not saying there isn't another one, but market capitalization should work for that, like the value of all the Tether, or maybe they were looking at some whales. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I'll forward it to you later, and I'll double check it as well.
It's fine. Then we can put it in the link.
Yes, in closing, we wanted to discuss also something quite complex for most people. It's pretty much not on the radar for most people, and I have to admit, I don't claim to understand this entirely. I just know who the really smart people are, and get an idea of their focus and what they're working on, and focus on that. And you tend to learn, one or two things. So I recommend that to people in general. Basically, Google's subsidiary company, Deepmind, which works on building AI to sort of accomplish really interesting breakthroughs in science and help accelerate the whole field, so to say. They work on different things. I think they help Google on the algorithm and stuff like that. But they also have like side projects. And one of these side projects was being able to model the structure of proteins in a computer. And this has been reserved to private companies and very high powered computers that these private companies own. And Tether Deepmind very recently made a new breakthrough, and they managed to model an entire a protein, and this hasn't been possible for a very long time, and this just happened recently. Now you ask the question, why is this relevant? Like, how is this, in any way related to legalized robbery? How am I going to make money from this? So by doing this, they help entire industries. I'll read this off. Financial Times article.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why this is important for the world as a whole, and an entire industry and scientific fields, is because it would allow us to, quote, accurately predicting their structures has a huge range of scientific applications, from developing new drugs and treatments for disease right through to designing future crops that can withstand climate change, or enzymes that can degrade plastics, said Edith Hurt, Director General of EMBL. The applications are limited only by our imaginations.
Yeah.
Pretty dope. Protein structures matter because they dictate how proteins do their jobs. Knowing a protein's shape, say a Y-shaped antibody, tells scientists more about what that protein's role is. And this helps even with COVID. This helps with name any disease you can think of. Having a model that you have sort of on your computer where you can zoom in and out and do all sorts of things with it is a game changer. Now, with this news being out, it's probably going to birth hundreds of thousands of companies through this.
Well, not hundreds of thousands,
hundreds
but
of thousands, hundreds. And the whole thing, the whole space is just super interesting, and it makes you really believe that potentially, when it's all said and done, given that this is a Google subsidiary company, all of their sort of wins will fall under Google's wins. So you could say something as crazy as Google's biggest contribution not being the search engine, but potentially scientific achievements within its subsidiary companies, such as Deepmind with this. And so a few tickers we will post under this video just to add on to this. All of the companies that might be able to benefit from this sort of breakthrough. There's a few that I've already looked at that are having enzymes that degrade plastics in a certain way, or that create plastic that is environmentally friendly, and a bunch of really interesting developments. So there's obviously the genomics field, which benefits from this kind of thing. But to be more specific, the companies that focus on proteins particularly will benefit from this. So, but you have to do your own sort of due diligence and then make a decision on what you invest in. But the space is super interesting, and I would recommend everybody to look into it. What do you think, Adi?
Yeah, the first time I heard about this, the whole breakthrough from Deepmind with the protein folding, I didn't understand what it was, but then I read a bit about it, and I think I have an understanding of what it does, and it's basically the ability to decode, but also to encode basically protein to do stuff. And I think this last article, the one you mentioned, was the fact that they can deduce the functionality of the protein based from its structure or something like that. Basically,
Crazy.
yeah, dude, this is an intertwining of technology with biology, which is absolutely insane. It's actually kind of scary, like what you
And
said.
it's open source. It's open source.
Dude, that's like, honestly, that's a problem from the perspective that obviously you need a lot of computational power. I think I was reading about this when it came out, and you need some huge computers to actually do the heavy lifting, because there is heavy lifting to be done. But other than that, the possibilities are endless, and you probably need a lab. But probably this is like a few $100,000s, and then you can build something biological which is like custom made. That's kind of scary. Like
there's
that's kind of scary.
they'll soon need regulation in terms of biohacking and stuff.
Yeah, dude. No,
Crazy,
so
right?
but it's also like like this could mean revolutions in everything from longevity, crops, health. Yeah,
Because
it definitely could be amazing.
what this means is hacking your physical environment, because that whole space includes sort of using machines to do sort of hyperposition cutting and stuff like that. So the whole space is going to be super interesting, and we've been interested in genomics for a while, but this is sort of a push further in that direction. And it was a prediction made by Kathy Woods, actually. So kudos to her that she's really got her eyes on the horizon there. So on that note, we'll keep it short today, and thank you for listening, and we'll see you back next week on Legalized Robbery. Peace.